Do we have any birthdays? Diane, you're not going to get out of it. Who else has birthdays? Anybody? Nobody's pointing. Is somebody hiding? Like Johnny said, he'll be pointed out on Facebook. Okay, Diane, I guess it's just you. Just stand up there and look pretty. Ready? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, God bless you. Happy birthday to you. Bring me some banana pudding. So before we get started, like Johnny said, we kind of pulled something together. Johnny came over last night. We were working on some stuff. So we're not up here to sound like a professional group of people. We're definitely not the Dixie Chicks, for sure. And if you think we are, we'll take the money, okay?
Absolutely.
But we are here to worship the Lord, and the songs that we picked out, I know a lot of people like hymnals, so we picked out a hymnal, so we just kind of threw it together. We're all nervous. Jonna's terrible nervous, and I'm trying to calm her down, but I'm trying to calm myself down too. But this song, everybody knows At the Cross, and if you just listen to the words and redemption, and it's just I just can go down the road and just sing this a cappella to myself because it's one of my favorite hymnals. But we want you guys to please sing with us, and I want to hear you guys sing. So worship like we're supposed to freely, and join us, please. Turn up just a little, Jeff.
Such a sinner as
Y'all don't know if you know it or not, but when you're pregnant, you can't hardly catch your breath to sing.
You take what is and you make it beautiful. When flood floods in, we're restored forevermore. With breath that brings the dead to life, with words that pierce the dark with night, only by your blood are we set free. With mercy strong to carry shame and nail it to a tree, you alone hold the power to redeem. No guilt competes with innocence crucified. No grave can hold what your grace has justified. Brings the dead to life. Only by your blood are we set free. With mercy strong to carry shame and nail it to a tree, you alone hold the power to redeem. Rejoice, O child of God. Lift your eyes to see. With every morning light, again we are redeemed. Rejoice, O child of God. Lift your eyes to see. With every morning light, again we are redeemed. When mercy with words that pierce the dark with light, only by the blood are we set free. To carry shame and nail it to a tree, you alone hold the power to redeem. Sorry, that's what we do when it's karaoke and you can't speed it up where you want to. I'm so sorry. I know that was terrible, but turn it up just a little, Jeff.
We read about heaven in all of its glory. The story is true John was able to see. It's shining perfection in every direction. Down some golden street, there's a place just for me. I'll have a room with a view, with sights I will see there. The saints of all ages, they will kneel at his feet around the throne. But in my new home, when I look out the window, I'll see the face of my knees. Just one look will do to prove it's a room with a view. There's only one reason why I'll have a home there. I'll go there because Jesus died for my sin. And though I'm not worthy and so undeserving, because of God's grace, He will welcome me in. I'll have a room with a view, with sights I will see there. The saints of all ages, they will kneel at his feet around the throne. But in my new home, when I look out the window, I'll see the face of my King. Just one look will do to prove it's a room with a view. Of all the things there to see, nothing else matters to me. I'll have a room with a view, with sights I will see there. The saints of all ages, they will kneel at his feet around the throne. But in my new home, when I look out the window, I'll see the face of my King. Just one look will do to prove it's a room with a view.
Bryson, are we on up there? Not gonna spend a lot of time waiting. But I got a question for you this morning. And my question to you is, what are some things in life that you've done or that you do that brings you satisfaction? What's something you do? What brings you satisfaction in life? Helping others, cleaning. What else? Anybody? Being a coach brings you satisfaction. What else? Being a mom brings you satisfaction. Huh? Eating a good steak. You know, baked potato with butter only. No sour cream to mess it up. Maybe a little cheese sprinkled on there. But we get satisfaction from a lot of things, right? And ultimately, none of those satisfactions really last. None of those satisfactions. So, where's Jordan Craighead at? Craighead, where are you at? Did he leave? He quit. There he is. Craighead coming in right in time. Jordan Craighead's a big Atlanta Braves fan, right, Jordan? Y'all won the World Series, not this year, not this past one, but one before, right? Is that enough? Did you want to win it this year, or was that one enough? Yeah. Anybody here alive? I know there's a lot of UT fans that go here. I don't know why, but anybody alive in 1998 when Tennessee won the national championship? Stanley, you was probably cheering them on, right? Was that enough? Do you want to win it again this year or next year or last year? Last year especially, right? But you see, that satisfaction that we get, I'm a big Raiders fan in the NFL. We won the Super Bowl 3 times but before I turned 15 years old. I thought, man, life is the greatest to be. Being a Raiders fan is the greatest thing in the history of life. 15 years old, 3 Super Bowls, we was walking in high cotton. We ain't been worth a poop since. I mean, we've been terrible. I mean, at least, y'all ain't never won a Super Bowl, so whatever. But no matter what it is, that satisfaction that you get in life a lot of times never lasts that long. It never lasts that long. It'll last for a little while, and then you find yourself wanting it again or more or whatever. It dies off pretty fast. And today we're going to look at a story and even go back, and I know some people's going to be like, hey, didn't you just preach about this not too long ago? Yes, I did, but it's fixing to hit different today. In John chapter 4, so if you have a Bible, and you should, I'd like to invite you to open it there. John chapter 4, Gospel of John, and this story, again, is very dangerously familiar to us. Sometimes stories get so familiar to us, we seem to forget or to maybe to dig deep to see what other things are there. And I'm going to tell you something right now. There's something there that has blown my mind. Ask Joseph. He came home the other night. I was like, dude, I got to tell you something. I've got to share something with you. John chapter 4, the Bible says this. Now, I want you to remember that Jesus has just met with Nicodemus. Nicodemus came to him by night, and Jesus told Nicodemus what it took to be saved. And he goes through, and now all the religious crowd is mad at him, and they're like wanting to kill him, wanting to stone him to death. So Jesus is like, hey, listen, let's get out of here. We're going to go to Galilee. And on his way, it says this. It says in chapter 4, verse 1, therefore, when the Lord knew that the Pharisees had heard that Jesus made and baptized more disciples than John, though Jesus himself did not baptize, but his disciples, he left Judea and departed again to Galilee. But he needed to go through Samaria. So he came to a city of Samaria, which is called Sychar, near the plot of ground that Jacob gave to his son Joseph. Now Jacob's well was there. Jesus, therefore, being wearied from his journey, sat thus by the well. It was about the 6th hour. So it is noon. And just in case you ain't never been in hot lands at noon, it is scorching hot. People didn't work in the middle of the day. They didn't get out in the middle of the day to do a lot of things because it was hot. They either went early in the morning or late in the evening. And so Jesus comes through. It's about noon. He gets to this well and he sits down by this well. And the Bible says in verse 7, a woman of Samaria came to draw water. Jesus said to her, "Give me a drink." For his disciples had gone away into the city to buy food. Then the woman of Samaria said to him, "How is it that you, being a Jew, ask a drink from me, a Samaritan woman? For Jews have no dealings with Samaritans." So, just so you totally understand, Samaritans were, Assyria had years before this, had come in and conquered the northern kingdom. And the Assyrians and the Jewish people eventually intermingle, and they have kids. And they were considered half-breeds, if you will. They were half Jew, half Gentile. The Gentiles didn't want nothing to do with them, and the Jews certainly didn't want nothing to do with them. And this Samaritan woman, she comes in the middle of the day all by herself. Now, they always done this in groups. You know, it's like our women. You know, they got to do everything together. They go to the bathroom together. They go shopping together. You know, everything's together. And same way, these women would go to the well together, and they'd draw these pots of water, and then they would carry them home. And she shows up in the middle of the day, mainly or possibly because, one, she was an outcast, and we'll find out more why she was an outcast in a few minutes, and two, that she was an outcast, but she didn't want to be ridiculed for the lifestyle that she was living. So she comes to the well in the middle of the day, and Jesus says, "Hey, give me a drink." Jesus shouldn't even be talking to this woman, according to Jewish traditions. And she says, "How is it that you, being a Jew, would ask me, a Samaritan woman, to give you a drink?" Jesus answered and said to her, if you knew the gift of God and who it is who says to you, "Give me a drink," you would have asked him, and he would have given you living water. The woman said to him, "Sir, you have nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. Where then do you get that living water?" So she's made two statements to Jesus. Both of them make total sense. One, why are you asking a Samaritan woman for a drink of water when I am second-class citizen to you? And two, you're going to give me water? You ain't even got a pot to draw it with. The water's deep. How are you going to get this water that you're talking about? Then she makes a profound statement that has no business being in this verse. Are you greater than our father Jacob, who gave us the well and drank from it himself, as well as his sons and his livestock? And Jesus answered and said to her, "Whoever drinks of this water will thirst again. But whoever drinks of the water that I shall give him will never thirst. but the water that I shall give him will become in him a fountain of water springing up into everlasting life. The woman said to him, Sir, give me this water, that I may not thirst, nor come here to draw. Jesus said to her, well, first let me stop right there. Jesus basically says, look, eventually this will be the story, but if you come to me, if you let me give you water, you'll never thirst again. Your life will be a well springing forth, living water. And she says, Sir, give it to me. And instead of Jesus dancing around and making her just feel like everything's A-okay, he says something that most of us would dare not say. Go call your husband and come here. The woman answered and said, I have no husband. Jesus said to her, You have well said, I have no husband. For you have had 5 husbands, and the one whom you now have is not your husband. In that you spoke truly. The woman said to him, Sir, I perceive that you're a prophet. You reckon? I mean, can you imagine standing there talking to Jesus and he goes, Hey, you know what, Dwayne? I know what you did when you was 17 years old. I know what you did that night. Like, where'd this guy come from? How did you know that about me? I've never met you before. And he cuts to the depth of sin in our lives. He goes straight for the jugular. That he can't give us that living water with this deadness of sin living in us and being on us. And he says, Get your husband. She goes, Hey, I don't have a husband. He goes, Yeah, you sure don't. But you've been married 5 times. And now you're with a guy and you're just shacking up with him. She said, Sir, I perceive you're a prophet. Then listen to this. Then she tries to change the subject on Jesus. You ever had something like you're being convicted about, or maybe somebody's pointing out and you change the subject on them? She says, Our fathers worshiped on this mountain, and you Jews say that in Jerusalem is the place where we ought to worship. I mean, like she wants to pull out doctrine and talk to Jesus about it. She's like, hey, let's change the subject about my sin. Hey, listen, where should we worship at? Let's talk about that a minute. Then listen to what Jesus said. Jesus said to her, Woman, believe me, the hour is coming when you will neither on this mountain nor in Jerusalem worship the Father. You worship what you do not know, and we worship what we worship. We know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews. But the hour is coming, and now is, when the true worshipers will worship the Father in spirit and truth, for the Father is seeking such to worship Him. God is spirit, and those who worship Him must worship in spirit and in truth. The woman said to him, I know that the Messiah is coming, who is called Christ. When He comes, He will tell us all things. Jesus said to her, I who speak to you am He. John is full of I am statements, and the very first one he gives not to Nicodemus, the religious people. He gives the first one to a Samaritan woman at a well. Then the Bible says that his disciples come back, and they want to know why he was talking to her. and what he was doing, and they try to encourage him to get something to eat. And he goes, hey, listen, I got more important things in my life going on right now than food. He goes, I got some spiritual food I'm working on. And he tells them that they're going to go and reap the benefits that others have sowed. And that we don't always get to reap the benefits of what we sow. We don't always get to see it. Then he gets to verse 39, he says, and many of the Samaritans, first of all, she leaves her water pot in verse 28, says the woman left her water pot, went her way into the city, and said to the men, come see a man who told me all things I ever did. Could this be the Christ? Then it gets over to verse 39, and it says, and many of the Samaritans of that city believed in him because of the word of the woman who testified. Now, you don't want to get up and give your testimony? When you give your testimony, it speaks to other people that are hearing your testimony. And it changes their lives as well. Said, she testified that he had told me everything I ever did. Think about how long that conversation was. So when the Samaritans had come to him, they urged him to stay with them, and he stayed there 2 days. And many more believed because of his own word. Then they said to the woman, now we believe, not because of what you said, for we ourselves have heard him, and we know that this is indeed the Christ, the Savior of the world. It always goes back to this. I can't save nobody. And you can't save nobody. But we can lead them to the water. We can bring them to the water. And this story in itself seems to be a very good story. But it gets even better. Because this one statement that this Samaritan had made where she says, are you greater than our father Jacob? I said, I got to go back and read what in the world she's talking about. So I go back to Genesis chapter 29. Jacob is on his way to look for a wife. So listen what it says in Genesis 29. So Jacob went on his journey and came to the land of the people of the east. And he looked and he saw a well in a field. And behold, there were 3 flocks of sheep lying by it. For out of that well they watered the flocks. A large stone was on the well's mouth. Now all the flocks would be gathered there, and they would roll the stone from the well's mouth, water the sheep, and put the stone back in its place on the well's mouth. And Jacob said to them, my brethren, where are you from? And they said, we are from Haran. Then he said to them, do you know Laban, the son of Nahor? And they said, we know him. So he said to them, is he well? And they said, he is well. And look, his daughter Rachel is coming with the sheep. This is so good. Then he said, look, it is still high day. If you don't draw the pictures from this to that, something bad wrong. He said, it is not time for the cattle to be gathered together. Water the sheep and go and feed them. But they said, we cannot until all the flocks are gathered together and they have rolled the stone from the well's mouth. Then we water the sheep. Now while he was still speaking with them, Rachel came with her father's sheep, for she was a shepherdess. And it came to pass when Jacob saw Rachel, the daughter of Laban, his mother's brother. This is his first, you talking about kissing cousins, it started right here. It did. I'm sorry. You don't come to me going, it's kind of gross. God used all kind of folk. And it says that, and the sheep of Laban his mother's brother that Jacob went near and rolled the stone from the well's mouth and watered the flock of Laban his mother's brother. Then Jacob kissed Rachel and lifted up his voice and wept. And Jacob told Rachel that he was her father's relative and that he was Rebekah's son. So she ran and told her father. Then it came to pass when Laban heard the report about Jacob, his sister's son, that he ran out to meet him and embraced him and kissed him and brought him to his house. So he told Laban all these things. And Laban said to him, surely you are my bone and my flesh. And he stayed with him for a month. Then Laban said to Jacob, because you are my relative, should you therefore serve me for nothing? Tell me, what should your wages be? Now Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the elder was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. Leah's eyes were delicate, but Rachel was beautiful in form and appearance. Basically said Leah was ugly, and Rachel was beautiful. You can slice it any way you want to, but that's what it's saying. Leah was ugly, and Rachel was smoking hot. Can I say smoking hot from up here? Okay. Now Jacob loved Rachel. So he said, I will serve you 7 years for Rachel, your younger daughter. And Laban said, it is better that I give her to you than I should give her to another man. Stay with me. Now I'm going to fast forward this story. Jacob stays there and he serves Laban for 7 years for the ability to marry Rachel, his hot daughter. And he stays there 7 years and he serves him on and on and on. And at the end of the 7 years, Jacob goes, hey Laban, I've served my time. I want Rachel. And Laban tricks him, and that night he sends Leah into the room, and he goes in and lies with Leah, and he wakes up and he goes, ruh-roh, Raggy. Barbara, he didn't really say that. You know I put my spin on it. Now stop going, I don't see that in here. I don't say ruh-roh nowhere. And he goes out to Laban, he goes, hey man, you tricked me. And Laban goes, it is our custom that we should give the older daughter away first. So I had to give you Leah, but if you'll serve me for 7 more years, I'll give you Rachel. And the Bible goes on to say that Jacob had Leah, but he could not love her like he loved Rachel because Rachel was beautiful. Rachel was the chosen one. And the Bible said, and this lady in the New Testament, this Samaritan, she said, are you greater than Jacob? Can you love the one who was not chosen? Can you love the one who is an ugly duckling? Who's second class? Are you greater than him? Jesus said, you better believe I am. And one day, a few years after this, another stone would be rolled back, but not to a well, to a grave. And it would water his sheep forever. And that stone would never have to be rolled back. It would stay open forever. So I ask you today, do you realize you are the Samaritan woman? I am the Samaritan woman. We were not chosen. We were not the beautiful ones in God's eyes. The Samaritan woman says, hey, are you greater than Jacob? Can you do the things that Jacob couldn't do? Can you love me just like I was Rachel? Jesus goes, yeah, I can. And he said, but first, we got to get some sin out of your life. He says, go get your husband. She said, I don't have one. He said, yeah, I know. Been married 5 times. I ask you today, what is your husband in your life? What is the thing in your life that you need to give up? What is the thing in your life that you think you're hiding from everybody, but you ain't hiding it from Him? Maybe it's anger. Maybe you got a drinking problem. Maybe it's drugs. Maybe it's jealousy. Maybe it's sports. I told my wife, sports brings out the worst in me. It does. I ain't kidding. I'm going to have to stop watching them, man. It brings out the worst in me. And no matter what, I don't care if my team wins or not, they could win the World Series this year, and in 2 years, I'm still going to be empty. They can win the national champion this year, and in 2 years, and 10 years, and 15 years, I'm still going to be empty. I'm going to be saying things, well, it feels like 98. That's what we get a lot. Me and Joseph get feels like 98 a lot. You know what I've learned? It don't matter if they win or lose. It don't make a hill of beans. It does not matter. They care nothing about me except how much money I can give them. I know a lot of y'all like, I ain't listening no more. He done made me mad. I don't care if it's anger. Maybe it's shopping. Maybe it's jealousy. Maybe, again, it's an addiction problem. Maybe it's porn sites that you're surfing on the internet. Sorry, small kids, if there's any in here. Maybe it's money. I got to make so much money. I can't go to church. I can't do this because I got to work. Got to make money. That Bible says, for the love of money is the root to all evil. What is your live-in boyfriend in your life? I don't know what it is. Ann, are you coming? Oh, all 3 of y'all. What is it? What do you need to come today and lay down at this altar and say, God, I've been trying to hide something from you, but I know I can't. Lord, I need to lay this down today. I need to give up this anger or this jealousy or this addiction. I need to give up this whatever it is that you're holding on to. Who remembers killing their first deer? Will, you remember killing your first deer? When was that? Was that this year or last year? A couple years ago, what? Was that good enough? You ain't gonna hunt no more now? You want to do it again. And then it'll happen again. And then it'll happen again. Because we are never satisfied by earthly things. Never. I don't care how many diamond rings Yamaris gets. There will always be another one out there. Yamaris, you didn't think I was going to let the women slide, did you? I don't care how many outfits you get, women. Oh, I've been wanting these shoes forever. In 6 months, they just going to be shoes. They ain't going to be your favorites no more. Y'all know I'm preaching truth this morning. What do you need to lay down? What do you need to lay down? Lust? anger. Maybe it's even anger at God. Maybe it's anger at somebody else. But I guarantee you this. There's not one person, not one, in this sanctuary this morning that don't have something in their life that they need to lay down. I don't know what it is in your life, but I guarantee you, Jesus saying, hey, go get that and bring it to me. Go get that. And bring, you're like, I perceive he's a prophet. He is. He's prophet, priest, and king. Would you stand with me this morning? This altar is going to be open. It's here for a reason. Now, I'm not saying you have to be at an altar to pray or to lay nothing down. But I believe it's a special place. And you don't have to wait for the music to start.